As we all know, emigration is a huge part of the Irish experience. Throughout Ireland's history, every generation has at some stage been obliged to accept that many of its best and brightest would have to set forth for foreign climes to achieve their potential or simply to find work. The latest wave is such that the current generation of Irish people between the ages of 18 and 35 have been dubbed Generation Emigration, given their large percentage who either emigrate or, as a matter of course, consider leaving the country to be a necessary part of their immediate plans after college life. Some of this generation lament the fact that they may have to leave their home country to have any chance at a good job and a decent quality of life. Some of them embrace the idea of leaving a country that has left them disillusioned and with fewer options open to them than they were led to believe when they were growing up prior to the crisis. Earlier this week, we asked some NUI Maynooth undergraduates for their thoughts on emigration.
The situation isn't great for young people in Ireland. I'm worried about the lack of opportunities, and I'm worried about the demand for qualifications on young people to get employment.
I wouldn't mind because I'd like to see another part of the world, but if I could get a job in Ireland, I'd much rather that.
Joining me now is NUI Maynooth graduate William Conlon, who left Ireland in 2008 intending to travel for just 1 year, but decided to make it a permanent move when the economic crisis bit hard back home and opportunity knocked in Australia. William, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Conor. Thanks for having me in.
William, would it be fair to say that when you graduated in 2005 with a degree in computer science and software engineering, emigration wasn't the first thing on your mind?
No, I always wanted to travel. Travel would be, I was very close to my heart, but I mean, emigrating for good, certainly not. I wanted to get a nice job, and fortunately enough, I did pick one up in 2006. That kind of started off my career, and you know, Ireland was still booming back in 2006.
In 2008, you decided you wanted to travel after 18 months with German IT systems company SAP. Initially, it was just to be a year-long holiday, but soon turned into a much more permanent move.
Well, that was it. I was quite fortunate with timing. You know, I know a lot of people aren't, but so it was back in late 2008. I kind of decided, I'll do a bit of travelling now, and then you know everything started collapsing around us, and I had good experience at that stage, and fortunately my skills were in demand in other countries, and I suppose I started thinking about it a little bit more seriously. I said I'd go for a year's travelling, and kind of in the back of my head I was thinking, geez, you know, that New Zealand trip, I might actually take them up on that year-long visa and, you know, stay for a few extra months and, you know, maybe, you know, top up the funds so I can do a little bit further travelling or kind of see what happens in 2009 or 2010.
When you landed in New Zealand in 2009, you were actively seeking work at this stage, and presumably you thought that given your experience and your qualification that a job in the IT sector would not be too hard to find, though initially it didn't turn out that way.
Well, this is it. I mean, I'm a computer science graduate. I ended up on ladders on building sites, and I was doing snag lists for apartments. I was doing that for maybe 2 months, and then I did land myself a government job.
Then after 9 months in that government job in New Zealand, you decided to take a chance on Australia, and it's a chance that worked out very well for you.
It did. I mean, you know, Perth is very thriving at the moment. You know, the mining and the oil and gas sector is, you know, really booming over there. Yeah, I just decided that, you know, maybe I should really need to get on this boom and, you know, earn myself a little bit more serious money. And I flew across to Perth, and 18 months later I got a management position, had a team of lads. I've got a bit of an easy run at it now in Australia, to be honest. You know, there's just a lot of positions, there's a lot of international companies. I suppose there's a lot of international companies in Ireland, but I think the doors were a little bit more shut for a man with, I suppose, lesser experience and, I suppose, looking for a high pay packet.
William, some people are understandably quite daunted when they make the decision to emigrate, but in your experience there's plenty of support to start out there.
People help each other, you know. I've been down in, you know, I've been in Wellington, I've been in Melbourne and Perth, and, you know, I've been in houses with a couple of the lads. You know, you've 8 or 9 Irish people all living under the one roof, and half of them all working on the same site, and a few of the girls in the same office and stuff. There's certainly resources in Ireland that can help people as well. I only got an email a few days ago about some expo up at the Red Cow for, you know, to help people get sorted out in Canada or Australia or wherever it is they're heading. So yeah, I think there is certainly facilities to help people. I mean, a lot of it's doing it yourself as well. You got to get onto the immigration websites and kind of realise where you stand, you know, or whether it's age or skills or, you know, and you know, plan your future rather than say, oh, I'm going to head to Australia for a year and, you know, see what happens.
William, the decision to emigrate has obviously been great for your career, but also for your love life. You met your wife in Australia.
I did. I met my wife in Perth, and yeah, I mean, had I not, you know, made a few of them key decisions over the years, that definitely wouldn't have happened, you know. And you know, it's certainly a blessing for me. And it's lovely that my wife can come back to Ireland, and you know, we can do a little bit of travelling around the country and see these things that, you know, we couldn't afford to do back when we were students.
Your wife is Canadian. Have you any plans maybe in the future to travel over there?
We do. There's certainly a bit of a boom going on there as well on the west coast. So yeah, I might look into using the skills that I've gotten in, you know, Ireland, New Zealand and Australia, and maybe have a throw of the dice there and see where the wind takes me, you know.
William Conlon, a very heartfelt thanks for giving of your time so generously on your short stay home to talk about your own experience of emigration.
It's a pleasure.
Now, is holding a No to Sexism campaign really an appropriate response to strippers performing at an official student union event in the SU bar? We'll be discussing that and more on Minute Matters after the break.
In Colombia, we are proud of our coffee growers who work tirelessly to produce the finest beans from all the regions of our country. At Barranquilla Barista, we roast the very best of these beans to produce the finest tasting coffee for the whole world to enjoy. Taste Colombia. Taste Barranquilla Barista.
K-FM has teamed up with EpicEscapes.com to send one lucky listener and a friend to the world-famous Twin Peaks ski resort in Switzerland. The prize includes flights, 7 nights hotel accommodation and 6 days of skiing or snowboarding for 2. For a chance to win this amazing prize, text 51101 with the word Swiss and the answer to the following question. The Swiss Alps are in A, Sweden, B, Switzerland, or C, Slovenia. Entries cost 50 cents and the correct ones will be included in the prize draw, which takes place at the K-Winter Ball on Friday the 30th of December. Beat the winter blues and head out on the piste with EpicEscapes.com and K-FM.
That's the sound of someone who's discovered the unique pleasure of Mana Utopia hot shower gel. To discover your unique pleasure and the Mana Utopia luxury bathing range, visit manautopia.ie.
Out to Lunch is proudly sponsored by Safe Haven Insurance. Safe Haven. For home, for travel, for life.
Thanks very much. As mentioned earlier, we're going to talk a little bit now about homeless. Unfortunately, Ireland is experiencing its worst homeless crisis in recent history. We know that many of our citizens are left without a choice and are forced to leave their houses. And when a country is faced with such massive difficulty, it's normal that it looks to its leaders for solutions. We went out to get some public opinion on how the government is handling the current crisis, so let's take a listen to what people have been saying.
They don't do anything until there's outrage and upset and it becomes a huge, big public issue, and then they get moving.
For the amount of spending on hotels and that.
Joining us on the line now to talk about the problem is independent councillor and homeless campaigner Francis Timmins. Hello Francis, thank you for joining us.
Hello, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. Can I just ask you to tell the listeners a bit about what you do as a homeless campaigner?
Well, in 2000...
Makes the situation all the more sort of insidious. Just before I let you go, Francis, can I just ask you, I mean, I don't know if you heard the Vox Pop just before you came on air there, but it seems there's a lot of disillusionment out there amongst the general public in how the government has handled this situation thus far. What's your take on the government's handling of the homeless crisis so far?
Well, deplorable. Obviously, I find it absolutely deplorable. Next year, we're being forced into a situation, as Simon Coveney himself said the other day, that an average council house takes about 180,000 to build. Rapid houses, which we're getting 218 of them, and we've argued up to the council, cost 248,000. So there's not value for money for the taxpayer either there. Yeah. And we're now finding they're not as rapid as we were previously led to believe. Yeah. And I mean, 218 houses, very welcome, you know, but it's like I said, we've nearly 10,000 people in South Dublin County Council that are looking for housing. Some of them have been on the list for 8 or 9 years. The problem at the minute, really, like we were saying, is the rent. It's just gone through the roof. It's these are, I suppose, the economic factors that are out of most people's hands. Well, look, unfortunately, Francis, that's all we have time to talk to you about today. But I want to say thanks very, very much for your time, and the very, very best of luck over Christmas and all the great work that you do. Right, I hope it passes well for you. You're a good man. Okay. Thanks. Listen, thanks a million. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Okay, now to the subject of residential care. Our reporter Betsy Gahagan went out to talk to residential care worker Sarah Kiernan and get her thoughts on the current status of residential care services in Ireland.